Hello, this is Mary Malone of Coldwell Realty and the Luxe Service Group. Let's chat about what happens after a seller receives an offer from a buyer. In the state of New Jersey, we all use the same template for contracts. So I do tell sellers that we can change certain parts of a contract once it goes into attorney review. But the first thing you want to do is negotiate the sales price and the terms of the contract. Number one, do you want to accept the price that the buyer offered? Would you like to counter, or would you like to wait a few days and see if you will receive any other offers? If you accept the offer or come to a meeting of the minds on the counter offer, do take into account some other parts of the contract, such as what type of loan did the buyer agree to use? Is it an FHA loan? Is it USDA? Is it conventional? Or are they paying cash? There are loans that are easier for sellers to work with than others. And when you get a cash buyer, you don't have to worry about an appraisal. You can also take a look at the earnest money down, meaning how much is the buyer putting down 5 to 10 days after attorney review. I like when I see a buyer putting down a larger sum of cash, because this way, if they back out for absolutely no reason at all, the seller gets to hold on to that deposit. So that is something that I do advise sellers, is take a look at the type of loan and what the earnest money deposit is, and also the closing date. Does that work for you as a seller? Typical closing dates in New Jersey is 45 to 60 days because we use mortgages. You can certainly close sooner or later, especially if your buyer has offered a cash offer. It is easier because you're not waiting on a mortgage contingency. Once you have signed the contract and it goes over to your attorney, both the buyer's and the seller's attorney will change the contract to meet their needs. So this is called attorney review in New Jersey. Some buyers and sellers believe that attorney review lasts for 3 days. That number 3 is in the contract, but attorney review lasts as long as it takes the buyer's attorney and the seller's attorney to communicate and change the contract that best interests their side. Once you are out of attorney review, we are officially under contract. According to the New Jersey state contract, the buyer does have a certain period of time to perform a home inspection and then get back any requests. In New Jersey, a buyer may perform a home inspection, a septic inspection, a wood boring insect inspection. They may also do a tank sweep for an underground oil tank. They may also do a mold test as well. It depends on the home. It depends on the buyer. With a septic inspection, a licensed inspector will need to come to the property to view your septic, and you will need an addendum signed by both you and the seller stating that they're going to open up the septic and take a look at it. With a home inspection, a licensed home inspector has to preview and view your home, or else the buyer cannot negotiate any inspection items. An underground oil tank sweep will see if there are any substances below the ground or big items such as an oil tank. And a mold test will determine if there's any mold in the home. If the buyer who made an offer on your property is going to use a mortgage, most likely they'll need an appraisal. An appraisal is when the bank hires an appraiser to come out and take a look at your property and make sure that what the buyer is willing to pay for your property equals the value of recent sold homes in the area. A bank wants to make sure that they are covered. So your appraiser will come out, measure rooms, take a look at the condition of the property, and compare it to other homes that have recently sold. If the value of what is recently sold in your neighborhood equals to what the buyer is willing to pay for your home, then the home appraises. I do tell sellers to not count their dollars until after the appraisal. If a seller has multiple offers and you have a buyer willing to go $50,000 over ask price, but the appraiser doesn't see any other homes that have sold at that sales price in your area, most likely it won't appraise. After the inspection contingency clause is over, you've already negotiated all of the inspection items and you've come to the meeting of the minds on the inspection and the appraisal comes back satisfactory. You're just waiting for the buyer's mortgage commitment. Make sure that your real estate agent is following up with the buyer's real estate agent to make sure they're on track to get their mortgage commitment. Because guess what? Once they get their mortgage commitment, we're just waiting for closing. Unless the buyer loses their job, they cannot back out without losing their deposit. Since COVID, it's rare that both buyers and sellers are at the closing table. Sellers most likely will go sign their closing documents with their attorney a few days prior to closing, and buyers typically go to their attorney's office at closing. Closing is a great time for both the buyers and sellers because moving is stressful. Let's face it, there's a lot of work from the beginning to the end for both sides, both the buyer, both the seller. Once you sign those final selling docs and once the buyer's funds are released to you, I'd like to call you and say congratulations. I know this was a ton of work. I know you must be exhausted, but happy house selling. If you need any information about buying or selling a home in New Jersey or Pennsylvania, call us. You can reach me anytime, 908-797-6090. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube page. Thanks so much for joining me.